నమస్కారము.
నమస్కారం అమ్మా.
ఈసారి పద్యాలు ఇవ్వలేదు సార్.
సరే.
ఈసారి పద్యాలు ఇవ్వనందుకు ఎవరు కూడా పాల్గొనడానికి రాలేదు.
అన్నా మేరీ గారికి స్వాగతం. ఆమెగారు కూడా మీ పద్యాల ముఠా మనిషి అండి. ఈసారి కాలేదన్నారు కదా, వదిలేద్దాం ఇక. డిఎస్పి గారు పండనాథ్ గారు వచ్చారు. నమస్కారం అండి. శ్రీని గారు, మీరు ఒక్క 2 నిమిషాలు మాట్లాడండి, కార్యక్రమం మొదలు పెడదామేగా.
అలాగే అండి. కోదండరామయ్య గారికి, అలాగే ఇక్కడ సమావేశమైన మిత్ర బృందం అందరికి కూడా నమస్కారం. తెలుగు భాషోద్యమం కోసం కోదండరామయ్య గారి గురించి విని వారిని పరిచయం చేసుకున్నప్పుడు చాలా ఇన్స్పైరింగ్ గా ఉండింది. భాష ఇలాగా, భాష లేకపోతే జాతి లేదు. మన జాతికి ఒక ఐడెంటిటీ ఏంటి, మనకున్న ఈ ఐడెంటిటీ అనేది భాష నుంచే మొదలవుతుంది. ఈ భాష కనుక కనుమరుగైనట్లయితే ఈ ఆంగ్ల మాధ్యమాలు స్కూళ్లలో మొదలయ్యి ఇప్పటికే మనం చిన్నప్పుడు చదువుకున్న పద్యాలు కానివ్వండి, తెలుగు పుస్తకాలు కానివ్వండి, తెలుగు కానివ్వండి, చాలా వరకు తగ్గిపోయింది ఈ కాన్వెంట్ చదువుల వల్ల. ఇది మనం నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నాం. ఇప్పటి జనరేషన్ లో చాలా వరకు కూడా అసలు ఈ భాష పట్ల మక్కువ కానివ్వండి, భాషని మనం బ్రతికించుకోవాలన్న తాపత్రయం కానీ, అసలు పుస్తకాలు చదవడం కానీ, అందులో నేను కూడా ఉన్నాను, క్షమించాలి. కానీ అది లేకపోవడం వల్ల జాతి మనుగడే ప్రశ్నార్థకం అవుతుంది. ఇంతకాలం కష్టపడి సంపాదించుకున్న తెలుగు రాష్ట్రాల్లోనే తెలుగు లేకపోతే ఇంకా అది దురదృష్టకరం. ఇక్కడ అమెరికాలో మేము సాధ్యమైనంత వరకు తెలుగు కార్యక్రమాలు చేస్తూ ఉంటాం. కార్యక్రమాలన్నీ తెలుగులోనే జరుగుతూ ఉంటాయి. మన పెద్దలే కాకుండా ముఖ్యంగా పిల్లల పట్ల ఎక్కువగా శ్రద్ధ వహిస్తాం అన్నమాట. వీటికి తగ్గట్టుగా కొన్ని తెలుగు నేర్పే సంస్థలు కూడా వచ్చాయి. ఆ తెలుగు సంస్థలు కూడా శక్తివంతంగా కృషి చేస్తున్నాయి. మనము మన తెలుగు రాష్ట్రాల్లో తెలుగుని బ్రతికించుకోవడానికి ఏ రకమైన కార్యక్రమాలైనా చేపట్టాలి. ఇందుకు ముందుకు వచ్చిన కోదండరామయ్య గారికి నిజంగా అభివందనాలు, పాదాభివందనాలు. నన్ను ఈ సమావేశంలో కూడా జాయిన్ చేసినందుకు కృతజ్ఞతలు అండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ. బై ది వే, నా పేరు శ్రీనివాస్ గుడు, న్యూయార్క్ నుంచి.
నేస్తులందరికీ దండాలండి. కామేశ్వర శర్మ. ఇప్పుడు ఎవరో మిత్రులు మాట్లాడారు, బాగుంది. మన భాషకి, మన గుర్తింపుకి, మన ప్రత్యేకత మనం నిలబెట్టుకోవాలంటే మనం అన్ని వేళలా, అన్ని సందర్భాల్లోనూ తెలుగే మాట్లాడుతుంటే బాగుంటుంది. అది చాలా శోచనీయం. ఈ అమెరికా, కెనడాల విదేశాంధ్రులు అందరూ చక్కగా ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో అంతా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. ఇంకొక శుభ పరిణామం అండి నేను గమనించింది, భారతదేశంలో కూడా ఇంతకుముందు ప్రొఫెసర్స్ వాళ్ళను యూనివర్సిటీలో ప్రొఫెసర్స్ ఎక్కువ మంది ఇంగ్లీష్ లోనే మాట్లాడుతుండేవారు. కానీ గత 20 ఏళ్ల బట్టి వాళ్ళకి ఏదైనా కార్యక్రమాలకి గట్రా పిలుస్తూ ఉంటే తెలుగులో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు, చక్కటి తెలుగులో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. ఎక్కడో 1-6 మాటలు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు కానీ ఇంగ్లీషే మాట్లాడేవారండి. అదొక శుభ భారతదేశంలో. నా పేరు విజుల కామేశ్వర శర్మ అండి.
మంచి విషయం చెప్పారండి శర్మ గారు. మళ్ళీ దాన్ని తిరిగి పునఃప్రారంభించుకోవడం జరుగుతున్నట్టుగా అనిపిస్తుంది ఈ లెక్కన మన తెలుగు మాట్లాడుకోవడం విషయంలో.
అయ్యా పంచాక్షరయ్య గారు వచ్చారు ఇవాళ. ప్రత్యేక పరిస్థితి. ఆయన గారికి 90 ఏళ్ళు, అసలు చదువే లేదు. ఒకటో తరగతి అనుభవారు, అప్పుడప్పుడు తెలియదు. గోదావరి ఒడ్డున ఒక పల్లెటూరులో ఉంటారు. 500 పద్యాలు చెప్పమంటే ఇప్పుడు ఆకుండా చెప్తారు. ఈ సందర్భాన్ని బట్టి సందర్భానికే 2-3 పద్యాలు చెప్పమంటే చెప్తారు. వారికి నమస్కారం చేతులెత్తి. పంచాక్షరయ్య గారు, తాళ్ళూరి పంచాక్షరయ్య గారు. ఇకపోతే అమ్మ పోలా సాయి జ్యోతి గారు మొదలెట్టండి.
సభా సరస్వతికి నా యొక్క నమస్కారములు. తెలుగు సంఘాల ఉమ్మడి వేదిక తెలుగు కూటమి రచ్చబండ కార్యక్రమానికి స్వాగతం, సుస్వాగతం. తెలుగు కూటమి వ్యవస్థాపకులు శ్రీ పారుపల్లి కోదండరామయ్య గారికి, ముఖ్య అతిథిగా విచ్చేసిన శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారికి, నిర్వాహకులైన స్వీడన్ ప్రియ గారికి, ఆఫ్రికా సీతారామరాజు గారికి, సింగపూర్ పాలకుర్తి గారికి, నార్వే సుబ్బారావు గారికి, మరియు నేటి రచ్చబండ కార్యక్రమానికి విచ్చేసిన తెలుగు భాషాభిమానులందరికీ నా హృదయపూర్వక నమస్కారములు తెలుపుతున్నాను. అక్టోబర్ 24, 1962లో జన్మించిన శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారు 1979లో బీహార్ బోర్డు నుండి మెట్రికులేషన్ పరీక్షలో ఉత్తీర్ణుడు కావడం జరిగింది. అంతేకాకుండా బీహార్లో 10వ స్థానాన్ని పొంది బీహార్ బోర్డు నుండి రజత పథకాన్ని కూడా అందుకున్నారు. 1980లో జేఈ ప్రవేశ పరీక్షలో ఆల్ ఇండియా ర్యాంకు 1330 సాధించారు. ఐఐటి ఢిల్లీలో ఎంఎస్ ఫిజిక్స్ 5 సంవత్సరాల ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ కోర్సు చేశారు. 1985లో గేట్ పరీక్షలో మొదటి ర్యాంక్ సాధించి ఐఐటి ఢిల్లీలో ఎంటెక్ లో ఎనర్జీ స్టడీస్ చేశారు. ఆంగ్ల పెత్తనం వల్ల దేశ నాశనం 1980లో ఐఐటి ఢిల్లీలో చేరిన బీహారీ శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారు మన దేశపు అన్ని రంగాల్లో ఆంగ్లం చేస్తున్న దాష్టికాన్ని దగ్గరుండి చూశారు. సగటు మనిషికి సమాన అవకాశం లేదని గమనించి చిన్నప్పటి నుంచే నిరాహార దీక్షలు, బంధులతో పోరాడుతున్నారు. అంతేగాక ఐఐటి పరీక్షను భారతదేశంలోని అన్ని భాషల్లో ఉండాలని శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారి చిరకాల వాంఛ. ఇందుకోసం దాదాపుగా 20 రోజుల ఆమరణ నిరాహార దీక్ష కూడా చేయడం జరిగింది. మరి ఈ ఉపవాస సమయంలో ప్రభుత్వం భారతీయ భాషలన్నీ కాకుండా హిందీ భాషలో కూడా నిర్వహిస్తామని ప్రతిపాదనను పంపించగా శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారు తిరస్కరించారు. 1988 నుండి జేఈఈ పరీక్ష ఆంగ్ల భాష తప్పనిసరి పేపరు తీసివేయబడింది. 1990 నుండి 5-6 భారతీయ భాషల్లో పరీక్ష రాయడానికి ప్రభుత్వం అనుమతించారు. కానీ శ్యామ్ గారి పోరాట స్ఫూర్తికి వ్యతిరేకంగా జేఈఈలో బహుళైచ్ఛిక ప్రశ్నలు ప్రవేశపెట్టి ఆంగ్లం, హిందీ భాషల్లో మాత్రమే నిర్వహించారు. ఇది హిందీయేతర భారతీయ భాషల్లో చదువుతున్న విద్యార్థులకు అన్యాయం, వివక్షత అని తెలిపారు శ్యామ్ గారు. వీటి ఫలితంగా కలిగిన మేలును హిందీ కొట్టేసింది అని ఇప్పుడు ఇతర భాషలపై హిందీ పెత్తనానికి వ్యతిరేకంగా కూడా పోరాడుతున్నారు. తెలుగు పరిస్థితిని కూడా చూశాక చెలించిపోయిన శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారు ఇంగ్లీష్, హిందీ పెత్తనాలకు ఎదురుగా మనం కదలవలసిన అవసరం ఉందని వారు తెలియజేశారు. 1991లో పిహెచ్డి కోసం టాటా ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ ఫండమెంటల్ రీసెర్చ్ ముంబైలో మొదటి సెమిస్టర్ పూర్తి చేసి రెండో సెమిస్టర్ పూణే బ్రాంచ్ కి మారడం జరిగింది. 2012 నుంచి 2013 వరకు దాదాపుగా 225 రోజుల పాటు హైకోర్టు మరియు సుప్రీంకోర్టుల్లో భారతీయ భాషలకు అధికారం కోసం ధర్నా చేయగా తీహార్ జైల్లో శ్యామ్ గారిని ఉంచడం జరిగింది. 2014లో యూపీఎస్సీ సివిల్ సర్వీసెస్ పరీక్ష అభ్యర్థుల ఆందోళనలో కూడా శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారు పాల్గొన్నారు. మరి ఆ విషయాలన్నిటి సమాహారాన్ని వారి మాటల్లో మనకు తెలపవలసిందిగా సభకు ఆహ్వానిస్తూ శ్యామ్ రుద్ర పాఠక్ గారిని తమ అమూల్యమైన సలహాలతో మాకందరికి కనువిందు చేస్తారని ఆశిస్తూ, మరి నాకు ఈ చక్కటి అవకాశాన్ని ఇచ్చినటువంటి పార్పల్లి కోదండరామయ్య గారికి కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తూ ముగిస్తున్నాను. ధన్యవాదములు.
I know Pathak ji from last 7 years. I would be talking with him now and then about these issues, and he was always guiding me as to what is to be done. He is consistently in favor of Indian languages. He is not for the monopoly of English in India, because English is a temporary phenomena. Suppose in 20 years, China dominates the world. We may be learning Chinese language. So basically our languages are to be continued for our culture, for our history, for our self-respect. Now I am very happy that he has come here to talk with us on these issues. Pathak ji, you please go ahead.
Yes, to unmute.
Namaskaram to all of you. Am I audible to you now?
Yeah.
First of all, I express my sincere apology that I am speaking in a language which is not Telugu at the moment. And I think it would be thing of great happiness to me that if I learn Telugu in future and I will speak, I come to you or I am amazed to speak in Telugu. But for the time being, I am expressing my apology for this, and I will seek your permission to speak in English. I know my mother tongue, that is Maithili, and apart from that, I know Hindi, English and Sanskrit. So you can ask question in any of these languages. I will enjoy this session if you interrupt me anytime you want to interrupt me. It would be better, supposing you allow me to speak everything and then you get tired and you lose track of what you wanted to speak, then it won't be so meaningful. So I shall request each one of you to raise any point, any issue where you feel even slightest of difference with me. If you differ from me even in slightest manner, you should raise that point. And finally, even if you don't disagree with me, but if there is any popular question against whatever I speak, then you must raise that point also, so that I get the opportunity of clarifying my stand. What I want to speak can be summarized in only a few sentences. So let me summarize what I want to say. I have slightly different perspective about any Indian language, therefore about Telugu also, in comparison to what many people usually feel. So Ramaiah ji or many other people feel that it is their pious duty to promote Telugu and they should make sacrifices for that. Things like that people feel quite often. And of course, I salute all such persons. But I say it is not required. If the policy is properly changed, it don't be required because you wouldn't have seen anybody making any sacrifice, any service for promotion of English in India. Nobody has to make any nobody has to see it as a matter of duty. English is being learned in India because English has utility. And this utility has been provided by the government rules. So what, let me say it in more clear terms, what I am saying, that a language, if any language is a means of development, then people will feel bound to learn that. At present, suppose you give sermons to people, send your child to Telugu medium school, let your child learn Telugu, see it in your mother tongue, see how important it is, how important to learn how important to protect our culture. All these things you can keep speaking. Still, the parents will feel compelled to send their children to English medium school because if they know English, they can do well in the All India competitive exams. So people go to English medium schools not because it is simply because English is much more useful than Telugu to progress in life, to become doctors and engineers, to go to IIT, to get selected even as ordinary clerks, that Group B, Group C also. And all UPSC exams are available in English and not in Telugu. So obviously, a parent will feel duty bound to encourage his son or daughter to learn English rather than encouraging him to learn Telugu. So what I am saying that rather than simply trying to promote Telugu, you should try to make all the opportunities of development available in Telugu language. Then only your efforts will become meaningful and effective, and also in the interest of the students who learn or who study through Telugu medium. So first thing I want to say that a language will survive only if it gets the state patronage. By state, I don't mean only the provincial government, but also the central government. So all competitive exams, whether the exams are for higher education or whether the exams are meant for getting jobs, central government jobs particularly, all those exams should be available in Telugu language. Then only parents will happily send their children to Telugu medium.
జుడు గారు వారు తెలుగు ఉద్యమానికి ఏం సాయం చేయగలరు అడగండి మీరు.
అయ్యా దండాలండి.
దండ.
Sir, we have been struggling for the last 2 years, particularly on this Zoom meetings. We have conducted under the leadership of Kodan Ramaya Garu several meetings, and individually also we are taking small issues with banks, some institutions, and we are trying to convert the nameplates of the shops also, which are in English, into Telugu. Do you have some other suggestions, sir, that can give us for the? Of course, you have right now mentioned about this language inclusion in IIT exams, entrance exams, and use of local language in courts. Do you have any other suggestions for the language Telugu struggle in our?
Actually, I have slight difference with you. You said you request people to change their nameplates from English to Telugu. I am saying these things will come automatically on their own if Telugu becomes a ladder for growth. See, English is a symbol of development. In English, is a symbol of advancement in India. That is why even those people who are illiterate, who don't know even Telugu or Hindi, they will write their stop's name in English. They will write Manoj P. Stall. He may not be knowing even Telugu or Hindi, but they will write Manoj P. Stall because he thinks it gives a good appearance to the shop. So why is it so? Because anybody who goes to seat of power, who goes to position of power, anybody who becomes an officer, he has to compulsorily know English. So common thing among them will be knowledge of English. Therefore, English is a symbol of advancement in India. Now, if this situation is changed, if Telugu becomes, if people see that many people who have studied through Telugu medium go to very high positions, then they will have no love for English. And people, if there is equal competition between Telugu studying students and English studying students studying through English medium and students studying through Telugu medium, then obviously the students who will study through Telugu medium will have better results. Like a person who will run with natural legs will obviously do better than a person who will run with some artificial legs or Baisakhi, etc. So students of class 11, 12. Now that test is in English only. Why should it not be in Telugu also? Because people who will study law, they will be working as lawyers and judges in India. So why English alone should be considered an appropriate language for courts? Because the court is meant for the people. And if the party is concerned in any particular suit does not know English, how English can be considered a justifiable language of court? Obviously, it is wrong to use any foreign language as medium of court. So, and I am sorry to know that in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, even district courts and probably sub-regional court or municipal courts don't use Telugu fluently. In fact, I have a fear that probably English alone is the officially allowed language for courts, district courts and sub-regional courts and municipal courts. Whereas I feel that it is very rare to find any other state in India where Indian language is not frequently used up to at least district courts. There are only 4 states where up to High Court Indian language being used. I told you, High Court of Rajasthan, UP, MP, and Bihar. But almost all other states have authorized use of respective regional language up to the district courts. But I have a fear, and you will tell me whether I am wrong or right. I have a fear that in your state, in Andhra and Telangana, even up to district court, Telugu is not authorized for use. Probably there is an official ban on this. I am not very sure about it, but this is what my fear is. So if it is so, you must fight for that. What I am saying, that rather than making private efforts, you should fight with the government. Rather than requesting shopkeepers to change their nameplate, shopkeepers or officers, anybody to change their nameplates, you should ask government to authorize use of Telugu up to district court at least. And why up to district court? Why not High Court? Because Constitution allows the authorization of Telugu in the High Court, whose principal seat is in Andhra and Telangana. So you should do education, and I will be happy to take part in that, for authorizing the use of Telugu up to the High Court level. For authorizing use of Telugu in Supreme Court, you have to ask for constitutional amendment. Okay. But that is slightly more difficult issue. But authorizing use of Telugu up to High Court, there is no constitutional amendment is required. Only consent of state government and consent of central government is required for that. So why should they not give consent to that? That means they are clearly anti-people. That means India is still a slave country. And what is the meaning of independence? If you remain slave, whether slave to English or slave to Hindi is almost same, then what is the meaning of independence? So in my opinion, most of the non-Hindi speaking regions are still slave, and Hindi speaking region also are slave, but there is a wide gap, because in many things Hindi has been authorized, use of Hindi has been authorized, and use of many other Indian languages has not been authorized. So there is a difference, but in any way, if people are not allowed to work in their language, it is slavery. So let me come to the question which you have raised. You are saying that you have been convincing people to use Telugu. I am saying don't do that, because you have limited resource, limited energy, limited resources. Utilize that for fighting with the government to authorize the use of Telugu in competitive examinations, not in IIT admission test alone, but in all competitive examinations required for going to Central University, required for getting admission into IIT, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, all central universities for medical science, engineering science, and management studies, and defense courses. So all those central, all such competitive examinations meant for entry into higher studies and for entry into government jobs, particularly central government jobs, the use of Telugu should be authorized. Now, one fine point here is that people may say that if somebody is selected for All India job, and if and Telugu is not understood everywhere in the country, so how can you justify the use of Telugu as a medium of competitive examination? Let me answer this question, because this question is raised quite often. See, I will make this point clear by taking one example. Since British time, this is in practice, that if somebody becomes IAS, earlier it used to be called ICS, if somebody is selected, if somebody from, say, Bengal, West Bengal, is selected as an IAS officer for Tamil Nadu, his job will be confirmed only when he will pass the test of Tamil. And similarly, if a person from Tamil Nadu is selected as an IAS officer for Gujarat, his job will be confirmed only if he passes the test in Gujarati. And this has been, this practice is going uninterrupted since British time. But that language, what I told, that if a person from Bengal goes to Tamil Nadu, he has to learn Tamil, but his skill in Tamil is not part of his selection test. Whether he knows Tamil or not, that is not tested in the admission test. There is no such. There are no test of Indian language in the admission test. It is only at the time of training that he has to show that whatever cadre he has joined, he has to have some basic knowledge of that language. And you will see that if a person from Tamil Nadu comes to some Hindi belt, he has very good proficiency in Hindi. Similarly, a person from any state goes to some other state where language is something different, he learns, he picks it up very well, very fast. Therefore, I have tried to answer this question, that for recruitment for entry into higher studies or for entry into any All India job, a person's ability only has to be tested, and his ability will be best expressed in the language in which he is good, which is his mother tongue, in which he has studied. And after entry into job, if the knowledge of some other language is required, he has to learn it during training and not during admission test. This is what I want to say. So one thing I told, that other than requesting the individual citizens to use Telugu, you should request the government, and you should do satyagraha, you should fight with the government for authorization of Telugu in the up to High Court in your state. we should request and fight with the central government to authorize the use of Telugu in all competitive examinations for entry into studies and for entry into central government jobs. If such opportunity is available, then only we'll have the moral guts, then we will have the moral authority to ask people to educate their children in Telugu medium. Have I answered your question, sir?
Yeah. Now,
It is quite revealing, sir.
Educate their children.
మాట్లాడండి అవినాష్ గారు మాట్లాడండి.
క్వశ్చన్ నేను మాట్లాడొచ్చా?
ఒక్క నిమిషం మధురెడ్డి గారు. నాగేశ్వరరావు గారు ఈజ్ ఏ DRDO scientist. He came here today. We are lucky to have him along with us. నాగేశ్వరరావు గారు, మీరు ఆయన గారిని తెలుగు ఉద్యమంలో మీరు ఏమన్నా పాల్గొంటారా అని అడిగి చూడండి. నాగేశ్వరరావు గారు. సరే, ఇంకెవరు?
నాకు ఒక ప్రశ్న ఉంది.
చెప్పమ్మా. ప్రియ గారు, స్వీడన్ నుంచి ప్రియ గారు అండి, మాట్లాడమ్మా.
श्याम जी, आपने जो सॉरी हिंदी कला, श्याम जी, whatever you said was very, very true. Only if the recognition for the language is in the job, there is more of promotion in the common public to learn the language, and there is more of motivation coming up. However, I have a question here. Like you said, the ability should be the first one to decide if somebody gets the job. That is perfectly correct. But how much of the government is training somebody to learn the language? For example, there is a police or somebody has got a job, a very, very well. One more thing. Second thing is, in Sweden, if somebody is coming from another country, the government provides free language learning classes. So how much of these kind of language learning classes, especially for the government related jobs, are we providing for people moving from other states to the Andhra Pradesh? That's one more question that I have. Is there any initiative around that? The second question is, I have noticed that more Telugu teachers are also inclined in moving away from their jobs because of their salaries or the pay scales and everything. Is there a pay scale map between Telugu teacher and a maths teacher, or are they paid equally well, that the pride of a teacher is still maintained there, so that more able and capable people are able to become Telugu teachers?
ప్రియ గారు, సంతోషం అండి. చాలా అడిగారు, కానీ ఇక నుంచి అందరికి కూడా విన్నపం, ఒక్క ప్రశ్నే వేయండి. మీరు 3-4 ప్రశ్నలు వేశారు, ఆయన దేనికైనా సమాధానం ఇవ్వాలి. కన్ఫ్యూజన్ వచ్చేసా. పాఠక్ జీ, would you reply to her in
Yes, sir. Actually, madam, all your questions are very important, but you have asked many questions at a time. So let me see whether I answer all the questions. If you had asked one by one, it would have been better. But anyway, I will try to answer all the questions. Your first stand was that you agree with this notion of mine, that a person's entry into higher study or entry into job should be decided on the basis of his merit and not on the basis of his knowledge of Hindi or English. This is one thing. Now you said that if somebody is selected for some job where he needs to know a language other than the language of his province, then how will he function and whether he will really able to function well or not? See, I have already given an example to clarify this point.
No, there is one small point here. How well he functions, all of us understand, because if he's interacting with the local public, he needs to learn the language. How much of government help is there?
No, I have understood your question. I am saying example is better than precept. So since British time, you tell me one IAS officer in your province who has come from any non-Telugu province like Bengal, Bihar, Gujarat, Odisha, any other state, and you tell me, does he have any problem in mixing with people? No, because he has to learn it during his training program. And this practice is there since British time. That when IAS, for IAS, IPS, etc., the admission test does not test one's ability in all Indian languages because he doesn't know which category he will get, which state he will get.
True.
So his knowledge is tested in the allowed language, which is English or Hindi, whatever. But when he is selected for some cadre, for some state, it is compulsory to learn that language. Now, practical, and you rightly said that not only Sweden, even Israel, which is a very small country, Israel also teaches students, foreign students in Hebrew language only. Similarly, if you go to Japan or France or Germany, they use their language. So they have short-term training program for the language. And they have to first learn the language, then they will, like if you go to Russia, you have to learn Russian first, then you will learn engineering or medical science or whatever, for whatever question you have come. So practical solution here will be that the language learning institution should be situated in the respective state. Like for learning Telugu, if all central government employees who have to learn Telugu, there should be institutions situated in Telugu region, Telugu speaking region, because if somebody interacts with society, with the market, with people around in that language, has opportunity to speak and listen to Telugu language in a surrounding where Telugu is being used, then he or she will pick it up faster. So government should have at least one institution for Indian language situated in the respective region. And all candidates should be selected on the basis of his knowledge in the medium in which he has been taught, like whether it is Tamil or Telugu or Bengali, whatever language, whatever medium he has learned, his ability should be tested in that language. But the moment he is selected for some institution, for some job, where knowledge of some other language also required, then he should be trained for that language in a short-term course for 3 months, 6 months, whatever is required. And so far, no IAS has protested against it. Nobody said, no, I will not learn Tamil. I am from Bihar. Nobody said. If you become IAS officer or IPS officer in Tamil Nadu. Similarly, you can make n number of examples of this kind. Now, another question which you raised was whether a person teaching Telugu language gets equal respect in comparison to a teacher teaching science or math. I don't agree with the attitude of this question itself.
No, sorry, sir. There is a small correction here. Yeah, respect. It was not respect. It was the pay scale I was asking.
No, I am not listening to you. Please hold for a moment. I will just finish what I want to say. What I want to say is that even science or maths should be taught in Telugu medium. If your love for Telugu is confined to love for Telugu literature, then Telugu language will not progress so much. See, Telugu should be a medium for math, science, biology, history, geography, all subjects, and law, courts, everywhere Telugu should be used. So, pertinent question here is not whether there is equal salary for people teaching Telugu subject, Telugu language. I am saying all subjects should be taught in Telugu medium in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and wherever Telugu is the prominent language. This is what I want to say. Now you can ask your question.
True, sir. I totally agree that all mother tongue is the best way to promote the language and the knowledge as well for comprehension, and that's where the culture sustains throughout. Yes.
Yes. I will just complement what you have said. Language is not only very essential to protect culture, it is also very essential for growth of knowledge on mass scale. See, if you teach science, math, or any engineering, medical, management, etc. in English alone, then that means that knowledge will be confined to a very small number of English speaking elite, where English is a convenient language. Only those countries where English is a convenient language. But if you want that knowledge to be available to the masses, to the all the population, then it must be in the people's language. So all science, all subjects, whether it is medical science, engineering science, or management studies, or any other subject, even whatever subject, philosophy, physics, chemistry, math, whatever it is, or every subject, if you want that it should have wide base in the society, and anybody who has talent should be able to learn that subject, then only people's language should be considered as appropriate medium of learning. Number one. Number two, if you confine these opportunities of development to only a few languages like say English or Hindi, then basically you are wasting the talent pool of the country. The country is not making use of its entire talent pool. It is making use of only a minute fraction of its talent pool for its development. So it has two aspects. There are two aspects to the adverse consequences of not using Indian languages, not using mother tongue for learning and for going to entering into higher studies and for getting jobs. There are two aspects. One is you are doing injustice. You are using English or Hindi as a weapon for exploitation of people. That is one aspect. It is injustice to individuals. Second aspect is that country cannot progress faster, cannot progress with proper pace if the entire talent pool, if the entire reservoir of talent of the country is not used, and it cannot be used. Entire reservoir of the country, reservoir of talent of the country cannot be used for the development of the country if the talent of the entire mass is not allowed to function. So at present there is untold reservation for people knowing English and Hindi in this country. So this untold reservation, undeclared reservation is quite unjust, not only against the citizens, but also it is detrimental to the growth of the country. Because at present the country is using only a minute fraction, only a small part of its talent pool, and not the entire talent pool which is available to the country. And the best resource for the country is human resource. At present, your human resource is not being properly utilized. I hope I have made myself clear.
మధురెడ్డి గారు మీరు మాట్లాడండి. Madhureddy is from Florida. He is asking you a question from Florida. Madhureddy garu మాట్లాడండి.
మీరు మ్యూట్ లో ఉన్నారు, చూసుకోండి.
Sorry. Okay. Chandra Pathak, thank you for sharing your views on equal opportunity to all Indian languages, and the benefits come by learning mother tongue and the usage of mother tongue. I agree with you. We are not learning English just because we love English or we are subjects of the British. We are even Chinese, Japanese, Koreans also learning English as a second language because English emerged as the international language of commerce and science in the last century. I agree with you. The court system must be done in Telugu language because many criminals who are illiterate were ill-equipped to understand English, and those people's fate are discussed without knowing what they are talking about. That's why in courts also, they must only use the mother tongue. In government, all levels of government must be in Telugu. I want to go one step further. Even in our temples and mosques and churches also, we should only use our mother tongue, local languages. And also I want to say that government jobs must be given to only the people who studied in Telugu mother tongue medium in their states. This way we will encourage them. And one last question I want to ask you is, Is he answering? He's on mute?
Pathakji, will you please answer that?
I'm sorry, I did not understand. See, I'm not expert on, means I don't know many Indian languages, so I cannot say whether words like yojana, etc. are appropriate for all reasons or not. But if it is not appropriate, if it is not comprehensible to the people, then obviously it is not an appropriate language. So, simple thing is that every region should be allowed to have access to knowledge in their own language. Like all European countries use their own language for studies and for not only European. See, you give me even one example in the world where the country can be considered self-sufficient in science and technology, or the country can be considered powerful in terms of per capita income. Give me one example in the world where they are using any foreign language, like we unfortunate Indians. We Indians are using English as a language essential for learning engineering, for getting engineering education, for getting medical education, for getting the knowledge of management studies, etc. So all these things are reserved, and nowadays even defense and law studies. So all these subjects are at present reserved for English knowing elites of the country. This is very unfortunate. So I am saying that there is no country in the world which had made tremendous progress in whether in terms of per capita income, or whether in terms of contribution to science or contribution to technology. So that is because only if language is a hindrance in the path of learning, then obviously the country will not progress at a faster pace, at a proper pace. So there is no country in the world which progressed in the field of science technology, or which can be considered a mighty country in terms of per capita income, or in terms of technological self-sufficiency, and which worked in some foreign language. Every country which can be considered advanced used only its own language, people's language, in its higher studies or governance, or getting all sorts of education, including engineering education, medical education, management studies, etc. So India also, if it has the minimum wisdom, should allow all these. See, European countries like Israel, Spain, there are numerous examples which have populations of 1 crore, even less. In India, with Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Bengali, etc. All these languages are such languages where crores of people speak. So if a textbook can be prepared for 60 lakh people, then why textbook should not be prepared for crores of people? And there are many languages in India which are spoken by crores of people. Therefore, what I'm saying that multilingualism is very essential for empowerment of India, for empowerment of and for making use of entire talent pool of the country. So, is there another question which you have raised?
One minute. ఆవుల మంజులత గారు వచ్చారు. అమ్మ నమస్కారం. మీరు ఆయన గారిని అడగండి, తెలుగు ఉద్యమంలో మీరు పాల్గొవాలి, ఎట్లా పాల్గొంటారని అడగండి అమ్మ. మంజులత గారు, ఆవుల మంజులత గారు. సరే, ప్రాబ్లం ఉన్నట్టుంది. షికాగో నుంచి ఒక పెద్ద మనిషి వచ్చాడు. అయ్యా మీరు మాట్లాడండి. ఓకే,
హలో,
ఇంకెవరైనా అడగొచ్చండి ప్రశ్నలు వారిని.
కోదండరావు గారు
మాట్లాడండి అయ్యా.
నమస్కారం అండి, నేను జగదీష్ మాట్లాడుతున్నానండి. శ్యామ్జీ, క్వశ్చన్ how can you help us in our agitation for Telugu? Could you please give us some? Could you please shed some light on that one? Since you are an experienced person in that one.
Please repeat your question. I understand. Let me say what you have told, what you asked. You are saying what suggestions I have for the promotion of Telugu. Is it what you are saying?
No. He is an engineer from Chicago in US. He is asking you, how will you take part in Telugu language movement?
Yes.
Because you, as you have already told, Telugu is the language which is performing in the worst manner. So how do you personally can help it
Yes, sir.
move forward?
Yes, sir. See, first of all, I feel guilty because when I was doing Satyagraha as a student in IIT Delhi for authorizing the use of Indian languages in IIT admission test, they cheated me and they authorized use of Hindi alone in the question paper. They authorized the use of many Indian languages for answering the answer scripts. But now the pattern of exam has become objective, multiple choice objective type. So only the freedom to write answers in Indian language of no use now, has become of no utility now. And therefore, basically it is now in English and Hindi only. So I am partially to blame that I fought for the authorization of the use of all Indian languages in IIT admission test, but now it is only in Hindi, besides English. So therefore, I can say that this is my duty. Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, Nageshwara, you want to say something, is it? Should I continue or you want to ask one question?
No, please go ahead. Please, he will ask after you complete.
So how I will participate in your efforts is, number one, for IIT admission test, I can say that in a way it is, the partial blame comes to me also, because when I had sat on fast unto death on several occasions, and the longest fast was 19.5 days fast. At that time, I was very clear that I want the IIT admission test to be held in many Indian languages and not in Hindi alone. In fact, government had asked me whether I will give a fast if Hindi alone is accepted as medium of examination. I said no. I said if you authorize use of any non-Hindi Indian language, I can give a fast, because if say Tamil is authorized, then there is big possibility that Hindi also will become authorized later on. But if Hindi alone is authorized, there is a chance that only it will remain confined to Hindi. This is what happened. But they had told me that it would be extended to other Indian languages. So that way, it is my past duty to fight for introduction of all relevant Indian languages, at least those languages in which education is being imparted in science and math at class 11-12 level. So I can take part in your education, in your Satyagraha, for making Telugu as optional media of competitive examinations, number one. Number two, in courts also, in high courts, I have gone up to Tihar jail. I have spent some 7 days in Tihar jail on this issue, that all high courts should be allowed to function in the respective regional language. They have not done it so far. So those are unfinished tasks for me. So I will, if you do Satyagraha, if you do agitation on these issues, that wherever Hindi has been authorized, see, if give me one reason. Frankly, don't think as a supporter of Telugu. Think it as if, even think for the time being, think whether you are think that you are a supporter of Hindi or English, and give me one reason why Hindi should be authorized for use in 4 high courts, and why Telugu should not be authorized for use in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh. Give me one reason. There is no reason. In fact, there is no logic at all. And why Tamil should not be authorized for use in Madras High Court? So this is totally unconstitutional, anti-people, and has no logic at all. So if you do satyagraha on these issues, you will certainly win very fast because there is hardly any logic against it. And this is clearly discriminatory. This violates Indian Constitution. That is, this violates our fundamental right that people should not be discriminated on the basis of birth, should not be discriminated on the basis of language. So if you fight on these issues, you will have very quick victories, in my opinion. You should simply fight wherever there is discrimination between Hindi and Telugu. And you will have, I think, fast success on those issues. So I will say that you should fight for authorizing of use of Telugu in up to this, in municipal courts, sub-regional courts, district courts, and high courts. Number one. Number two, you should fight for making Telugu as optional media for all India competitive examinations where Hindi has been authorized for use. This is what I want to say. I will take part in all those satyagraha, in all those occasions. So I will be one of you. Not that just by my joining, it will become very, you will get great strength. But I will be like you in that agitation.
కృష్ణమోహన్ గారు మీరేమన్నా అడుగుతారా? ఆయన గారు మొదటి ఉద్యమకారుడు మన దగ్గర. కృష్ణమోహన్ గారు, సరే ఇంకెవరైనా అడగదలుచుకుంటారా?
భాషలో కార్యక్రమాల్లో పాల్గొంటానండి. నేను ఇప్పుడు అదే పనిలో ఉన్నాను. ప్రైవేట్ స్కూల్లో తెలుగు టీచర్ గా పనిచేస్తున్నాను నేను.
సంతోషం.
మీరు అందించే ఏ కార్యక్రమంలో అయినా నేను పాల్గొనడానికి సిద్ధమండి.
సంతోషం. ఈ చాట్ లో ఫోన్ నంబర్ రాయండి అయ్యా.
రాశాను.
Pathak sir, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, central government is ready for implementation of the examinations on the candidate's own language. Even they are telling that if a student says that so and so language he speaks, they are ready to conduct banking exams and other exams also. But the state governments, what they are doing, they're totally going in wrong direction, especially Telangana and Andhra states. So they are not giving any chance to the candidate's own language. So they are embracing the English language, and they are not ready for the candidate's help. So how can we fight this kind of things?
This is a very difficult situation. See, what I am saying, it is like Caesar. Unless both aspects are functional, Caesar cannot be effective. What are both aspects? One is that state government should allow Telugu as medium of instruction for all subjects in schools and colleges. And second aspect is that all India exams, all competitive examinations for entry into higher studies and for entering into all India jobs, central government jobs, should be available in Telugu medium. So both things should be there. If you do only one, supposing you fight for introduction of Telugu medium in schools and colleges alone, and the opportunities for development are not available, opportunity for development in terms of competitive medium for competitive examination, for entry into higher studies, for getting jobs, and for being able to practice as a lawyer in district court and high court. If those opportunities are not available in Telugu language, Telugu medium, then people will be discouraged, and those studying in Telugu medium will be at disadvantage. So you have to fight for both things simultaneously. That education should be available in Telugu medium, and opportunities for development should also be available in Telugu medium. So we have to fight on both fronts simultaneously.
Mr. Shyamprasad Pathak, what is your mother tongue, sir?
Sir, my mother tongue is Maithili, which is spoken in Nepal and Bihar. Largely spoken in Nepal and Bihar. This is my mother tongue. Yes, sir.
సున్నపురాళ్ళ షణ్ముఖ గారు వచ్చారు. వారు చిన్న వయస్సు, మన వాళ్ళందరిలో ఇప్పుడు ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరికన్నా చిన్న వయసు అయింది. కానీ ఆయన గారు పెద్ద పనులు చేస్తున్నారు. ఇప్పుడు చివరిలో వచ్చారు కాబట్టి వారు మాట్లాడటం అంత విషయం కవర్ కాదేమో, తర్వాత ఒకసారి మాట్లాడుదురు కానీ. ఇంకెవరైనా పథక్ గారు మాట్లాడిన దాని మీద ప్రశ్నలు ఉంటే వేయవచ్చండి.
Sir, in software companies, when they recruit the employees, what they will do, they will conduct interviews. Those interviews purely in English. So what they see, so if whether the candidate is properly answering the question and understanding, and whether he is able to communicate properly or not. So as the rural students, they are very clever and they have much knowledge, but they are failing in communicating in English. Because of that, they are coming out of that interview itself, so they are not getting selected. So in that case, is there any way the center can intervene and guide the software companies to conduct the interviews in the student's mother tongue, so that it will be easier for him also?
See, there is one slok in Bhagavad Gita, which is actually I don't want to give someone Bhagavad Gita, but I will just speak it to make my point clear. The slok is yad yad acharti sreshtha tat tat deve tarojana sa yat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Means whatever is the manner in which dead persons work, Shrestha in any manner. So yad yad acharti sreshtha, whatever things a prestigious person does, a great person does, others also follow that. And whatever he standardizes, the normal people follow that. This is the meaning of that slok. Sayat pramanam kurte loka sat anuvartate. They go behind that. So here what I am saying, that if the IITs, IIMs, central medical institutions, if such and all central universities, EU, JNU, etc., there are dozens of central universities. If all those centrally funded institutes work in Indian languages, so institutes which are situated in Tamil Nadu, they should be functioning in Tamil. Institutes which are situated in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they should function in Telugu, like that. So if all IITs, etc., use Indian language of that region as its medium, then obviously the private sector people will also feel compelled to get the best talent available to them. At present, the best talent, just because of funding, goes to IITs. I am saying, taking example of engineering technology. So if the best talent goes to IITs, why should the private sector care to interview candidates in Telugu, or in Tamil, or in Bengali, or in Hindi? So if IITs work in English alone, you cannot give sermon to private sector people. Interview people in Telugu, or interview people in Tamil or Bengali, etc. So first thing is that all standard institutes should be compelled to work in respective Indian language, wherever they are situated. Like IIT Madras should be working in Tamil medium, and IIT Kharagpur should be working in Bengali medium. And a student who opts to go to IIT Kharagpur should be willing to learn Bengali, as a person going to Israel is willing to learn Hebrew. A person going for any study in Russia is willing to learn Russian. A person willing to go to Japan for higher study is willing to learn Japanese. Similarly, our students also, if somebody chooses any institution which is not situated in his province, he should be able to learn the language. And learning language in an environment where that language is used in the market, where that language is used in the society, is very easy, and it can be learned quite fast. And Indian language have lot of proximity, so many of the words are common also, but people's access to knowledge will be easy only if it is done in people's language. Have I answered the question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, because our resources are limited, our energy is limited. So I'm saying, channelize all your energies for fighting against the unjust rules. Unjust rule sponsored by unjust rule thrust upon people by central government and state government. Is what I want to say. Governments only force people to learn to take education in English medium. So rules of government have to be modified so that students get proper advantage in having education through their own language.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
From Singapore, one engineer has come. Palakurti Garu, would you like to ask any questions?
Please ask uncomfortable questions, particularly those questions which are popularly raised in society against our understanding, against our motivation, whatever all of us have gathered for with single motivation. Now, if there is any question which is raised against this motivation, please raise that question. I will be glad to answer that question. I will be glad to put forward my point of view on that question.
ఎవరైనా ఇంకేమైనా ప్రశ్నలు ఉంటే అడగండి అయ్యా.
Sir, this from Telangana question is, in Telangana, I think the participants also come to know the Telangana movement itself is built on a language discrimination, both from the Telangana language. They established the government, and also now in the next academic year, they are going to start the primary education from 1st to 8th classes, totally shifted into English medium. The teachers and also they are training up by the another Azim Premji University. So my question is for this, if the language lovers, if we ask the question, the intellectual people of Telangana and the Dalit section or from the backward class section, what the question they are posing us is, the elite section and who studying in English language, they are getting better opportunities. But the poor and below middle class people, they are studying in these Telugu medium schools, they are not getting opportunities. That's why we are demanding the English language. How to defeat this argument, one thing. And another thing is the governments itself.
Please
the
ask
central
only
government.
one question at a time. Please
One
ask
question
one
is fine,
question.
because I will also feel easier to answer, because all the questions may be important and I may lose track of the question. See, the question which I have raised, there is no, in my opinion, there is no, it is not justified to convince them that they are wrong. In fact, they are quite right. But I am saying that what people's objection to learning through Telugu medium is valid as long as opportunities for development are not available to them in Telugu medium. So what people are saying, that people learning through English medium, people getting education through English medium, have more opportunities for development than people learning education, than people learning things in Telugu medium. It's quite right. It's a valid thing. So you have to make a situation. You have to change rules so that people getting education in Telugu medium, should have equal access to opportunities. Then only it would be just, then only it would be correct to encourage people to send their children to Telugu medium school. So you have to fight on both fronts. You have to ask the government to make the medium of education at least optional, if not compulsory in Telugu. And secondly, you have to force the state governments and central government to give all opportunities for development. Opportunities could be in many forms, like all jobs, all studies, and the opportunity to practice as lawyer, opportunity to practice as judge, to work, to get jobs of judges in Telugu medium. So all opportunities for development should be made available in Telugu medium. This can be done not by you and me, but by the government. And you have to fight against the government for making this change. Then only you will have the moral right to educate people, to convince people to love Telugu language, Telugu medium, to convince the guardians to send their children to Telugu medium schools and Telugu medium colleges. So you have to fight on both the fronts. That is, to make Telugu at least optional medium for getting education, and secondly, to make Telugu at least optional medium for getting developmental opportunities. It's not the compulsory medium in those regions, at least the optional media. Even if it is made optional, then also your objective will be achieved, because students who will study through Telugu medium will have faster rate of growth than students who will study through English medium. This is what I believe. Yes, sir. I have tried to answer this question.
అయ్యా పంచాక్షరయ్య గారు, మీరు ఒక్క నిమిషం మాట్లాడండి అయ్యా.
ఈరోజు తెలుగు భాష అభివృద్ధిని గురించి మా అత్యంత అభిమానులైన కోదండరామయ్య గారు ప్రవేశపెట్టినటువంటి ఈ కార్యక్రమానికి హాజరైనటువంటి అందరకు నా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. కానీ తెలుగు భాష అభివృద్ధి అనే పేరుతోని ఇంగ్లీషు భాష పరంపరల మాటలు మాత్రమే సాగినాయి. అది దేనికి అన్వయింపజేయాలనో నాకు అర్థం కాలేదు. అందుకని నా ప్రసంగం అంత సముచితం కాదేమో. ఇంగ్లీషు భాషనే మనం వాడుకునేటప్పుడు తెలుగు భాష అభివృద్ధి కార్యక్రమాల్ని రూపొందించే దాంట్లో మనం ఏ రకంగా నిమగ్నం అవ్వగలుగుతామో అనే అనుమానం ఉంది. అయినా మా అత్యంత అభిమాన పాత్ర మిత్రులైనటువంటి కోదండరామయ్య గారి పిలుపు మేరకు వచ్చినందుకు తెలుగు భాష అభివృద్ధి ఏంటి అంటే తెలుగు ప్రజల యొక్క ప్రయోజనాన్ని 100% పూర్తి వ్యక్తులుగా తయారు చేయటానికి ఉపయోగపడేది మాత్రమే తెలుగు భాష. ఎందుకు అంటే తెలుగు భాషలో ఉన్నటువంటి పదజాల సంపుటి ఏ భాషలో లేదు అని మనకు అర్థమైంది. అందుకనే ఒక తెలుగు భాషలోనే వివిధ రకాలైనటువంటి పాండిత్యాలు, గ్రంథాలు అన్ని తయారైనాయి. అందుకని దాన్ని వాళ్ళ ఆదరణ కోల్పోయి అధికారమై ముద్ర పడేటువంటి స్థితి దేశంలో లేదు. కాబట్టి బలహీనపడిపోయిన రాష్ట్రాల్లో ఉండటం కారణంగా అది అభివృద్ధి చెందలేకపోతుంది. అయితే తెలుగు భాష అభివృద్ధి చెందకపోతే, అది గనక నిర్వీర్యమైపోతే మన యొక్క తెలుగు జాతి సంస్కృతి, సాంప్రదాయాలు, మన యొక్క విశిష్టతే దెబ్బతినే అవకాశం ఉంది. అందుకని వాటన్నిటికన్నా ముందు తెలుగు భాషని నేర్పాలి. అందులో తెలుగు భాష ఇంకోటి మనిషి యొక్క అన్ని రకాలుగా అభివృద్ధి చెందటానికి అవకాశం కలిగినటువంటిదే తెలుగు భాష. అందుకనే అంటాడు, మాతృభాష రాని మనిషి మాటను డొల్ల, తలపులోని మాట తెలుపుటెల్లా, తెడ్డు లేని పడవ ఒడ్డు చేరుట కల్లా అన్నాడు. తెలుగు నేర్చుకొనుము తెలుగువాడ అంటే తెలుగు గనక సరిగ్గా రాకపోతే ఆ మనిషి యొక్క తలపులో వచ్చిన తన ఆలోచనలన్నీ బయటికి వ్యక్తం చేయటానికి కావలసినటువంటి పదజాల సంపుటి మిగతా వాటిల్లో లేదు. తెలుగు భాషలో అనేక రకమైనవి ఉన్నాయి. ఒక్కసారి ఆలోచించండి. ఇప్పుడు స్త్రీల గురించి పురుషుడి గురించి మాట్లాడాలంటే ఆంటీ మేడం రెండే మాటలు అంటారు.
అయ్యా పంచాక్షరయ్య గారు, మీరు నాకు తెలుసు 2 గంటలు మాట్లాడగలరు. ఇక్కడ ఏమన్నా ప్రశ్నలు వేయడానికే. ఇక రెండవది, మనం ఒకళ్ళిద్దరు కూడా అక్కడ వ్యాఖ్య చేశారు, ఈ తెలుగు కార్యక్రమం ఆంగ్లంలో ఎందుకు జరుగుతున్నది అని. మనం దాదాపు 60-70 కార్యక్రమాలు చేశాము ఇటువంటివి. అవి తెలుగులోనే చేశాము. కానీ ఒకసారి ఇతర భాషల వాళ్ళు మన గురించి ఏమనుకుంటున్నారు, మన తెలుగు మీద వాళ్ళ అంచనా ఏమిటి అన్నది కూడా మనం వినటానికని దీన్ని ఆంగ్లంలో పెట్టాము. మీరు దాన్ని ఏమి అపార్థం చేసుకోవద్దు. రోహన్ కత్రియార్ గారు
అయితే తెలుగు భాషలోనే అభివృద్ధి కోసం మాత్రమే ఏర్పడుతుంది కాబట్టి
problem with my net connection. So Rohan Katriyar has given me his cell phone, and I am now able to listen to you.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
అదే అందుకనే చాలా సంతోషం.
Sir, can I ask one question to Pathak ji?
అడగండి.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir, you have mainly mentioned about fighting with union government and state governments and bringing pressure on them to make some these policies.
Right.
Can you throw some light how to fight with the government? Government, because they are interested in their vote banks, they are taking a different view against Telugu. Do you have any idea how to fight with them?
అది మనకు తెలియదు, మనకు తెలుగు గురించి మాట్లాడటం అన్నారు.
Yes, sir. See,
ఆపేస్తున్నా సార్, కట్ చేసినాగా.
the vote bank is not in English. Vote banks are in Indian language only. So if people will come to know that the state government who pretend to be pro people are basically anti people, then obviously they will lose their vote banks. So you have to fight it on a mass scale against the government's policy, both against central government and state government. And see, here you have to work as, you have to believe in the principle of karma yoga. That means the result will come to you automatically. You just fight against the oppressive policy, against the anti-people policy of the government, against this colonial imperialistic policy of the central government. And obviously people will have sympathy for you. If you suffer for the cause, the people will have sympathy for you, and people will come to know the real shape of the state government and central government. So if see this, whatever you have described, such a state of affairs is there because nobody is challenging this unjust system. Once you challenge this unjust system, that there should be at least equal opportunity for development for the people who are studying through Telugu medium. That means if Telugu is at least the optional media for getting education and for getting jobs and for getting any developmental opportunities, then the government will have no logic to say how you are wrong. And people will come to know that you are fighting for a justifiable thing, and government is to be blamed because government is not accepting your point of view. So what I'm saying that you simply start the agitation, simply start the satyagraha with clear demand. Don't say that nameplate should not be in English. No, you can say that, but I'm saying agitation should be, whenever you do agitation, your demand should be pinpointed, should be very clear. So you should be clearly asking for equal opportunity for development for the students who are studying in Telugu medium. All opportunity for development should be available to them in Telugu medium. So getting education itself is an opportunity of development. So whether getting education at primary level or secondary level or graduation level, post-graduation level, and being able to get jobs, being able to go to centrally funded institutes, all these are opportunities for development. Getting education is also an opportunity for development. So you have to fight for at least making Telugu as alternate medium of education and alternative medium of getting jobs. Alternative medium for all competitive examinations.
ప్రభాకర్ కస్తూరి గారు మీరు మంచి
Sir.
ప్రశ్న అడిగారండి. అక్కడ కొంచెం మీ ఫోన్ నంబర్ రాయండి చాట్ లో, తర్వాత నేను మీతో
నేను రాసుకున్న తర్వాత సార్ తోటి ఇంకా డీవియేట్ చేయాలి అంటే మీ లక్ష్య భిన్నమైనటువంటి ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ ఒకటి తిరుగుతుందని నాకు అనిపిస్తుంది సార్. ఐ వాంట్ టు షేర్ వన్ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్ విత్ సార్. సో యు ఆర్ సార్ యు ఆర్ saluting that you are saying the alternate Telugu medium we have to propose. My question is no need to request the government to give a opportunities for Telugu medium. I am asking, my question is, why don't the governments, they don't involve the mother tongue at a primary level? The national education policy of Indian government just they introduced, they are asking state governments may involve the language of their own mother tongue up to primary level. If the competition is goes like this, all the people they are going to prefer the private school, especially the English medium. There are two different classes are there. So we have to.
ప్రభాకర్ గారు, don't explain, ask question in 2 or 3 sentences.
Yes, that only sir I am asking. Sir,
You are
what
not
sir
asking,
saying
you are
is
explaining. You are explaining. Please stop that.
okay.
Ask
Okay.
question. Ask question.
Yes, you are right that if primary education is available in Telugu medium, but all higher education is available in English alone, or government jobs are available in English alone, it is of no use. And people getting education in Telugu medium may not succeed in life. So actually, we have to ask for the empowerment of Telugu right from primary school level up to highest level, and also for all jobs. So it should be thoroughly, it should be the opportunity should be equal at every stage and not only at primary school level. If it is only at the primary school level, then obviously people will, if suppose government schools say that our schools will function only in Telugu medium, but all jobs will be reserved for English medium schools, then obviously people will be forced to go to private schools where medium of education is English. So I am saying, as long as the developmental opportunities, all competitive examinations are not at least are not giving the option to use Telugu as a medium, then our efforts will not succeed, is what I am saying. And you should ask for at least the alternative medium, if not compulsory medium. What I am saying, if you ask the state government that Telugu alone should be medium of instruction, it will be harder thing to ask for. And if you say that, see, Telugu should be at least in government schools, and all competitive examinations should have Telugu as optional medium, then even if English is there as optional medium, people getting education English medium will not do so as well as will not perform so nice as a person who will take examination and take education in Telugu medium, because Telugu medium will be obviously an easier means of acquiring knowledge. Will be better means for acquiring knowledge.
Thank you. ఇంకెవరైనా 1-2 వాక్యాల్లో ప్రశ్నలు అడగండి అయ్యా, ముగిద్దాం ఇక. వివెన్ గారు ఇక
నన్ను వినపడుతుందా సార్?
వినపడుతుందండి.
నాకేం క్వశ్చన్ లేదు సార్, బట్ చిన్న ఫ్యూ వర్డ్స్ టు సే. రామయ్య గారు, మీరు ఈ రోజున మన రాష్ట్రాలకు సంబంధించిన సమస్యని జాతీయ స్థాయికి తీసుకెళ్లారు, మీకు చాలా కృతజ్ఞతలు అండి. దే ఆర్ సమ్ పీపుల్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఆర్గ్యూయింగ్ దట్ వై దిస్ మీటింగ్ ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్. నౌ మెనీ ఆఫ్ అదర్ పీపుల్ కేమ్ టు నో దట్ తెలుగు ఆల్సో స్ట్రగ్లింగ్. సో ప్యారలల్ మైండ్ సెట్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా మనతో కలవడానికి ఒక అవకాశం దొరికింది. ఇట్స్ రియల్లీ గ్రేట్ ఆపర్చునిటీ ఫర్ us, and thanks a lot for Mr. Patnaik sir ji, you are here to discuss about the issues along with the regional languages. Thank you very much.
Mr. Palakurti is a businessman from Singapore. He is thanking you, Pathak ji.
Yes sir.
ప్రభాకర్ గారు, నేను మీతో మాట్లాడుతున్న నంబర్ రాశారు, చెప్పండి. అమ్మా మంజులత గారు మాట్లాడండి.
ఆ.
నమస్కారం.
నమస్కారం అండి. నేను ఒక ప్రశ్న అడగవచ్చా? We have
ఆంగ్లంలో
been
అడగాలి.
Shyam Rudra garu has given us so much of information. Thank you, sir. And one thing I want to ask you is, every state has this problem. We have been discussing about Telugu medium, and children should be taught in their mother language. But in every state, there are people, there are other languages, especially the tribal languages. And these people, their mother tongue is not Telugu, and they are forced to learn Telugu and use Telugu, and they are forced to study in Telugu. What about these people and what about these languages? How do we solve problem? Because India is the seat of at least thousands, 6,000, more than 6,000 languages.
అమ్మా,
Yes.
one minute. Manjulata garu, there is no more domination of Telugu in these two Telugu states. Telugu medium is wiped out. In Andhra Pradesh, for Koya, Boya and other tribal community, they have prepared textbooks in their own languages. They learn Koya language, Hindi and English. They don't learn Telugu. Amma,
Only
we are,
is not more, not to the higher classes.
and we are here talking about Telugu. We will limit to that. Yours is a bigger problem. Thanks.
Okay,
Amma.
we concentrate only on Telugu.
We are discussing about Telugu. Yours is a wider problem. Thank you. Vivan garu, ఈ ఒకసారి ఆయన గారి ధన్యవాదాలు చెప్పి ముగిస్తారా?
Shyam Rudra Pathak.
Yes, sir.
Very helpful and very useful insights. He provided us and answered questions with very good insights. We can definitely utilize some of these things in the coming future, and start in the direction of like with clear demands, asking governments towards our mother tongue. Thank you so much for giving us very insightful ideas and you're sharing your thoughts. అదండి సంగతి. మనం చేయాల్సింది చాలా ఉంది. మనం ప్రభుత్వాలని వీళ్ళని అడగాల్సింది చాలా ఉంది. గట్టిగా మన గొంతు అన్ని వేదికల మీద ఎక్కడ పడితే అక్కడ వినిపించాలి. ఈ రోజు సమావేశం ఇంతటితో ముగిసింది. మనం మళ్ళీ 4వ శనివారం మళ్ళీ కలుద్దాం. అందరికీ సెలవు. ధన్యవాదాలు.
నమస్కారం అండి అందరికీ.